here tonight in case you have any questions after the meeting. Leading the meeting for the department is going to be Mimi L. Simmons from the HASA program. We have Jeff Fujimoto from our Land Development Division, so some of you know him for all of the work that's been done out at the Pu'ukapu. We have Kuhio from our ICRO office, Linda Chin with the Land Management Division, and Kaleo Manuel with the Planning Office. We have Gary Shirahara, Walter Nagai, and Gary from Oliver from the Army Corps. So I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, my Kako. I'm always happy to be in the town of Waimea, the birthplace of my Puna, and just always happy to be able to serve the Native Hawaiian community in the Department of Hawaiian Lands these last 2 years. This second meeting is serving as sort of two purposes. One, when we came last month, we provided important safety information that the Army Corps will review. And the second was to talk about and provide relevant updates to what the department is doing, since the official notification went out on December 3rd to lessees. And so last month we talked about the notification that came from the chairman of the Department of Hawaiian Homeland, Jody Masagatani. We talked about the areas identified on that map that are trust lands. And we talked about how the lands had been developed post-World War II, and including Kuhio Village, Pu'ukapu, Lalamilo, phases 1, phases 2, and then some small 4 lots in Kawaihae and Pu'ukapu. The other discussion in December centered around the HASA program, the federal money that the department receives from the federal government, from HUD, the Office of Housing and Urban Development, and the impact that the designation of a formerly used defense site has on using federal money on that land. So we're also going to talk today and update you folks on the department's ongoing conversation with HUD about using the HASA money here in Waimea and any of the lands, trust lands identified in the formerly used defense site that was called Waikoloa area. The format for tonight, we want to talk about, provide the updates. We're going to do the safety briefing and just kind of have the Army Corps go over their project here in this, as identified in the map. And then the department will come and talk about the Puna water system and relocation that was offered by the chairman to those who, may want not to reside in a former reused defense site. So I'd like to call up right now Walter Nagai.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Walter Nagai. I'm with the Army Corps of Engineers, and I'm the project manager for a formerly used defense site called the former Waikoloa area. As Mia mentioned, we did a presentation last month, but this is the same presentation. I understand that some of you weren't able to make last month's meeting, so she asked to go over it again. Basically, what I'm going to talk about is what this formerly used defense site program is, history about the project, show you a map, what we've done so far, where we are now, what we coordinate and talk with the regulators and the stakeholders about. And our most important message is the 3 R's. It's unexploded, ordinance, safety, and there's an point of contact. So the formerly used defense site program is a program that's executed by the Department of Defense. So they're responsible for executing this program. And it's a program where they recognize that the Department of Defense, the military used lands back prior to 1986, and they understand that there's contamination that was left behind. So under this program, they provide funding, and they want the areas to be investigated and cleaned up. So the program was established back in the mid-1980s. Congress assigned it to the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense assigned the Department of Army, and the Department of Army assigned it to the Army Corps of Engineers to carry out the program. So under this program, we have three major phases: inventory, investigation, and cleanup. The first phase of the inventory phase is where we determine if a site qualifies for this program. We first have to determine if the site was used by the Department of Defense, whether it was used, owned, or leased, and it had to be prior to 1986. And then we have to determine if there was contamination that was left behind. So once it qualifies for the program, then we go into an investigation phase. That's where we go in and determine the nature and extent of the contamination. And then from there, we determine, okay, what remedial action or what cleanup needs to be done. So that's the third phase. Project history, the Navy acquired the land back in 1943. It was used to train over 50,000 troops from 1943 to 1945. And when they trained, they used live ordnance, live explosives. So over 100 different types of explosives were used. The area, I'll show you a map. The area covers most of the South Kohala district. It's about 100,000 acres. There were previous cleanups when the military finished using the area. They did some cleanups. The first one was done in 1946, and the second one in 1954. So this is a map of the Big Island. Up in the upper left corner, Red Cross Thatch area is where the Waikoloa area is located. That's most of the South Kohala district. And the next map. Anyway, this map is the same as what's up here. It shows the boundaries of the former Waikoloa area. Just so you get a feel of what the area is, it starts up on the top left is the Kawaihae harbor, goes all the way down the coastline, all the way down to the Waikoloa resort area. Then it follows the boundary of the South Kohala district and the North Puna district, all the way up to Mamalaho Highway. And then it goes up north along Mamalaho Highway to the old Saddle Road, and then up Saddle Road, and goes along the slope of Mauna Kea Mountains. Then comes down through Waimea town, and then down along the slopes of the Kohala Mountains. So that's about 100,000 acres. Last time we showed a video, and the video showed, talked a little bit about the history again of what the former Waikoloa area is. It introduced some local folks here, some dignitaries, Mayor Kinoi, Darryl Oliveira when he was a fire chief, some principals, and more or less gave their position on what we're doing and what was found. Next time we can show the video. So what we've done so far, we've done some investigation. It was called engineering evaluation and cost analysis. There were three phases of this investigation that was done. First phase in 1999, the second phase in 2002, and the third phase in 2006. And what had happened was, originally the former military training area was thought to be just this small area around the Waimea area, and then it started growing. When we did our investigation, we found the area is much larger than what we originally thought. So that was a the second phase. The second phase was going down towards Waikoloa Village, down towards the Lalamilo area. And then we found out it's even larger than what the second phase found. So we ended up going on the perimeter outside of that area and went up along the coastline, along the Mauna Kea Mountains and the Kawaihae Mountains. So from those three phases, that's where we're at as far as the boundary. What we've done so far is what we call removal actions. Over 26,000 acres has been swept. We've gone in with our contractors who go with metal detectors and we look for these items. And so far we've found over 2,200 of these items. The debris, there's ordinance debris that is left behind. We also cleaned that up. We've already cleaned up over 200,000 pounds of these items, the debris. Currently, we're in what we call the remedial investigation feasibility study phase. That's the phase part of the phase 2, the investigation part. And this is where we'll determine what the nature and extent of the contamination is. So these are some pictures of workers out in the field, sweeping the area and looking for the items. I don't know if you see our current contractor is in Byronhead. They have the white trucks. They're the guys that go out there and do the sweeps for us. And when we find something in ordinance, we blow it up in place. So these are some pictures of what we call a demolition operation. One of the mitigation that we do to contain the blast is to put sandbags around the blast that'll contain the frags that come out of the blast. Some of the items that we find, the munitions, bombs, landmines, projectiles are the bigger ones. This is what's fired out of cannons. Motors, rockets. Rockets are like another term is bazooka rockets, rifle grenades, hand grenades, small arms. We've been even finding a Japanese ordnance. And what we think happened was when the military went and deployed and they fought out in the air, when they came back, they brought these Japanese items back with them and they used it as training aids. So we've been finding these items around too, so we get rid of those items. This is a picture of just some debris. They don't contain explosives anymore, but we still pick them up and we dispose of these items too. Some of our regulators, stakeholders that we interact with, the congressional groups, Senator Schatz and Hirono, representatives Gabbard and Hanabusa, gone to the mayor. We always talk to the civil defense, fire department, police department, always communicate with them whenever we do a demolition operation. And the county public safety and planning offices. We've been doing outreaches. We've been going to festivals, the Cherry Blossom, Katy Fest, down at the Pu'ukapu, we do the festival down there too. We also go to schools. We want to educate the students. We feel it's important that the students know about this because they're the ones that walk around and they may come across items. So, we have a student educational program and we try to teach them about our safety message, which okay. So our most important message is the 3 R's of UXO, which is unexploded ordnance safety. 3 R's is recognize, retreat, report. We want folks to understand that these items they're 70 years old, so they may not look like ordnance. They're old, they're rusted, they're deteriorated. They might look like just like a piece of rock. So just recognize that these items are old and be aware of them. So these are some pictures of some of the items. If you suspect anything, even if it may not be an item, if you suspect anything, just retreat from the area. Try to remember where you saw it because we want you to report it. And the reporting is call 911. You call 911, the police department will respond. they know about our program, they know about the former training area, the former Waikoloa area. They'll come and they'll take a look and they'll determine if the military needs to come in and take care of the situation. These are point of contacts. My point of contact, I'm the project manager for the Waikoloa area. Gary Woolover, he's our ordinance explosive safety specialist on site. He oversees the work that goes on in this area. And he's very familiar with ordinance and explosives. So if you have any questions on ordinance and explosives, you can call him. We have bags here that folks can take. It has information, has this point of contact information in there, has the maps, brochures about the former training area, and again, everything has the 3 R's. That's our most important message that we want everybody to do.
Maybe we can go to questions now for that portion before we do the department's update.
Yeah, 2 questions. One, are the names of people walking over every square inch of land, are they going to cover everything? And 2, what is the contamination that remains?
Okay. And the first question was, will the investigation go over every square inch of land that's being investigated? And the answer is yes. When it's determined that we need to do remedial work, the removal work, on the map, if you look on the map, there's yellow shaded areas. That's where we've gone in and we've done sweeps. So, and that area, it's every square inch is wet. When we do our remedial investigation feasibility study, we do what we call transects and grids. So they'll lay out, these transects are 3 feet wide, and they'll lay out transects throughout the area, and then they'll place grids in certain parts of the area, and then they'll do sweeps within the grids. So the transects, they'll sweep, the grids, they'll sweep. And from there, they'll determine, okay, there's contamination here, and we need to go back and we need to do remedial work. The contamination, the second question was, what is contamination that's out there? The contamination we're looking for out there is the ordnance, unexploded ordnance, military munitions ordnance. We've also taken soil samples because the munition, some of the chemicals, metals that may have been left behind by the munitions ordnance is a concern too. So we've gone in and we've taken soil samples and we've done laboratory tests on them to determine if there's what we call energetics or metals, the irons, chromiums, and things like that. And no, it's all below what we call environmental action levels, the Department of Health. And typically, throughout the nation, these sites there are thousands, tens of thousands of these sites throughout the United States. And typically, the munition constituents, that's the chemicals and metals that might have been left behind. They haven't been found in training sites. They're being found more in manufacturing factories, where the ordnance might have been manufactured, not at training sites.
Is there coordination with the Department of Hawaiian Homeland when people are trying to build on an area that those areas will be checked?
We've been trying to coordinate. Yeah.
The department, just last week, I did the briefing for the commission on the unexploded ordinance issue here in Waimea and at Maku'u. And we are working with our UXO consultant, who's not the Army Corps, to develop a UXO policy. You know, the trust is the landowner for all of the lands identified as formerly used defense sites. And so we have a kuleana to make sure that the health and safety of our NSC families are number one. So as we work quickly to develop an appropriate UXO policy for the department, we'll be coming back to this community and then to the community in Maku'u to get feedback before it goes to commission.
Is the landowner military's responsibility?
Ultimately, it is the military's responsibility. So when we do our update, our department update, we'll talk about working with the congressional delegation to secure funds to have the military, do whatever needs to be done as part of the process. But whether the department chooses to wait, because lessees are conducting ground disturbing activities, and so while we're in the Better Last Fund, the chair reminded everyone to utilize, safe precaution with doing ground disturbing activities on your lot, and that's why we did the safety video again tonight, just so that people could see how much the munitions changes over time, so that it doesn't look like, munitions. It is rusty looking. And today we happen to have a tour of the former Waikoloa Village area, and we did look at examples of ordinance that was found. So we just want to make sure that the lessees of this area and of Maku'u are enforced.
Second question is, I know that you talked about, or I've heard that, like sometimes it'll wash up at the beaches or Puna or places like that. So when we have big storms, does anybody check that area before the public's left back in? It's kind of like, I don't know.
Right now, we don't have a project down in the waters. We've gone into Puna Beach, we swept. And that's the only beach right now. Oh, Spencer Park, we swept Spencer Park. But other than that, we haven't been doing the water stuff. We're trying to open a new project. We have to go and submit the project up our chain and open create a new project. So the offshore is someplace where we want to consider, and we're trying to have a project open. So until then, we can't go into the water. We haven't. But we've been getting reports. We've been told that there were some findings out in the water. I know some divers have been going out there and they've been finding things out in the water. So that's why now we want to try and open a project to do offshore investigations.
I want to follow up on what you have to say with Puna Beach. And I think it would be worthwhile if you folks also looked at Kanehoa and and the beaches from there to Puna at least, because when they made the small boat harbor, they changed the current and the turbidity in Pilipinas Bay, so that even though you went to Spencer Park, Maku'u, but the current and the swells has shifted towards Puna Bay, so that everybody now is surfing at Kanehoa, where they used to surf at Spencer. So it would work out to follow the current and go that way. So I just want to bring that up.
Okay, and when we do open up that new offshore project, we still have to determine where that boundary is going to be. So whatever input information you folks might have, that would help us in determining that. So if you can help us, or you can provide us information when we determine that, try to make a determination of the boundary. That would assist us.
Is there a time frame on your assessment
For
to
all of Waikoloa or
Kuhio Village?
Kuhio Village. We were just talking about that. The Kuhio Village is located in a sector we call Sector 15. And when we did that engineering evaluation cost analysis, and we did a sweep of that Pu'ukapu area, we didn't find anything. And on evaluation, that sector was found to be of low risk. So as far as priority, you got to put down pretty close to the bottom.
But to answer your question, come this week, Friday, we're going to put the Sector 15 and the Sector 16, which includes Kawaihae, Lalamilo, and Pu'ukapu, on the plus-up list that we sent to our headquarters. So this year, the congressional delegation has actually given us more money to do our work. So now they're asking for projects that can be done with the money that the congressional delegation has got for us.
So we're gonna put the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's properties on that plus up list, and hopefully it'll get approved.
The reason I'm asking the question is because Habitat wants to come in and redo some of the houses in there. So that's the reason why I'm asking the question.
And
And that's right now, it's a standstill because of the ordinance.
But, Gary mentioned about putting that area on this plus up list, but that list competes with hundreds, thousands of other areas across the nation. So it goes up to the Department of, to our headquarters, to the Department of Army, and they decide, okay, which ones get funded. And I think there's only a certain amount of funds, so there's going to be a cut line. They say, okay, everything above that line gets funded.
And so that's where the department, since last month has been working to work with our congressional representatives, to exert whatever political pressure, maybe result in the outcome that we want, so that their bosses on the East Coast have hopefully a better chance of approving our lands to be included.
Some of the applicants are, as I said.
Yes, and you're referring to the Nahasna home repair contract that is with West Hawaii Habitat. And yes, when HUD found out that, these lands were considered formerly used defense sites, that's why that's been put on hold. We're working right now with HUD, as part of our departmental update, we're working right now with HUD to try and incorporate the remedial steps that are included in the process that the Army Corps must follow as part of that federal process, so that HUD as a federal agency will acknowledge that process and accept whatever outcome comes at the end of that process. Because I think we discussed that in December, that formerly used defense sites, the military will never give an all clear. It'll never be considered clear to the definition that HUD would like it in order to use the federal money. But we're just trying to articulate and maintain our position as a department and arguing with HUD that if this federal process is already identified in the federal statute, under CERCLA, then whatever outcome that results, in the land being considered swept or the mitigation efforts that was completed, HUD should accept that so that we can utilize our Nahasna funding and move forward with the appropriate construction support.
So because this is gonna take some time, what are you gonna do? You have a certain amount of money earmarked for the housing here, and other housing. And because this is gonna take some time, are you gonna allocate those funds to another project so that, where do you get your money?
We've substituted, so those families that were going to be part of the Lalamilo self-help project with West Hawaii Habitat to do new builds, that money's been switched out with USDA Rural Development loan money. So, I think that was 5 loans for Nahasna or 6 loans for Nahasna for that particular area. So it just means it just stays in the homeowner financing pool of money that Nahasna has.
Where are you now? Are you going to go to Lalamilo? Where are you now? Where are you guys living?
Physically, we're around the Waikoloa Village area, doing some removal work, what we call removal work, and that's where the environment is going in and sweeping. Along Lalamilo Highway, we're concerned about the highway area, so the environment has swept a portion of closer to Waimea down along Lalamilo Highway going towards Puna, and they're going to finish up a little bit more down there along Lalamilo Highway.
So are you going into Lalamilo soon?
The Lalamilo area, we did what we could.
You did.
Yeah, it's already, and at that time when we were working in that area, when we go into an area, we need right of entry. We can't go into a property without an approved right of entry, which the property owner or the lessee needs to give us. So at that time, when we were in that area, whatever right of entries we had, we went in to those properties and we did the sweeps. So I think a good portion of Lalamilo might have been swept. May not have been all the properties because we're
I
gonna
just
have.
have a question, because last year, when they're doing the new phase in Lalamilo, Casa Dam,
Yeah.
they're supposed to
it's-
put that 400 homes or 1,000 homes, I don't know. But last year, on April 26th, a letter was sent, 2013, that they're ready, the department of Health was blasting all the way over there. I do have a letter saying that they already blasted the whole community there, I mean the whole area. So it should be clear, yeah? They already blasted.
Yeah, I think that blasting was part of construction work that was being
Yeah,
done.
they blasted all the Pu'ukapu, good by the riverbed. Is that the one?
In that project, phase 2A, Jeff Folks utilized construction support to do it, yeah, which is
Yeah.
the scanning and the screening and whatever. So even, so like we were talking about in December, even with all of that, there's not 100% guarantee, right, that nothing, isn't there. So that it'll always be considered, a formerly used defense site. But because the appropriate construction support was utilized, that's part of our thing to HUD, that these lands should be considered eligible for the use of the Nahasta. For phase 1A, we did not do that. Mr. Hudson?
I noticed that you said the Army was given the responsibility through the Department of Defense. And so, Army Corps of Engineers, are you a federal agency?
Yes. We're part of the department.
Part of the Department of Defense. So you contracted environment.
Yes.
That contract's been going on for how long?
I think it was from 2009. Yeah, so they're just about done with that contract.
It's been around for a long time.
Since 2002, we had other contractors going around that doing the work.
So all this white area that's not colored, that's areas you guys never sweep?
Yeah, it hasn't been swept.
Haven't swept that?
Yes.
Obviously, you guys are aware in Kuhio Village and the residents, right? The Army Corps of Engineers, you guys must be aware of that. And you must be aware that all these properties in Hawaiian homes was awarded to people that can live there, right? And in the yellow areas that you swept, only get, down in the Waikoloa area, only get goats. How come you guys spend so much time in the goat area, sweeping for areas that only the goats occupy, and you put no time in where the people live, especially as Hawaiian? Seems like we last on a priority list over here. But I'm looking at the places that you swept. Was this based on economics? Was it based on value of land or value of people? Because our homestead was never swept. You get the whole Waikoloa, you get all the resorts, you get all the residents in the community. When we come to the homestead lands, never been sweep them. Well, we last on you guys' list.
There was that study again, that the engineering evaluation cost analysis, and they did portions, they did transects and grids, and they looked at what might be there, and based on that, they said, okay, these areas have the higher chances or probability of having ordinance, and these other areas maybe not as high. So based on that, it was determined, okay, these areas we should go in and do sweeps now.
So you guys.
And then just for the record, this current administration, under Chair Masagatani, we did notify the U.S. Army that we did not agree with that study and we did not agree with the lowest designation, even though we understand how that factor was calculated. Now that was calculated because the lands are primarily held in lease and not open to public areas like the Puna, Beach, and the side of the road and whatever. So that's how their consultant came up with that factor, the overall factor of low risk for Sector 15. we're taking action to try and work with the congressional delegation, get our UXO consultant on board, and, develop a policy that if we, because the state, the department spends the money to do the work, to do the mitigation, or to do the scanning, or whatever, then at least we can either get reimbursement, or try to wait for this process, or, see what we are going to do. Because, we're concerned.
Well, it's hard for me to grab that concept that you're looking for ammunition in area that became high priority. I understand that the high priority was more than likely the ammunition over there, right? I understand that part. So obviously you guys based it on that. But no more human living there. You know what I mean? So your priority is the ammunition, not the people, is what you're saying.
There is a factor in there that determines or depicts human health in the presence of community people in the area also. But that's just one factor, a whole bunch of evaluation criteria that's looked at. So based on the overall, there's a score that comes out at the end. Based on the overall score, it prioritizes which areas go first, second, third.
So our score was low.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
I mean, it wasn't real low, it's kind of like in the middle, but there's other scores that was higher up. So those areas,
It's amazing that I'm looking at all that fucker ranch land that you only get booze inside have more priority than us humans right next door. That's kind of amazing, man. Especially when you're talking about you belong to the federal government, they're supposed to be able to protect us, right? To keep us safe. Doesn't appear that way. Would you agree with that? Doesn't appear that way.
Would you build a house for your family and raise children in those areas?
me personally,
Yeah.
uh,
And secondly, how do you do an evaluation of human rights involved?
yeah. Next time.
If Hawaiian Homes is going to have to put out the money up front anyway, and then seek reimbursement, would they be allowed to hire their own contractor to do the work if this company that they're working with is so far behind?
Yeah, what you folks do, as far as, hiring a consultant, hiring a UXO technicians, to do sweeps and clearances, that's up to the property owner.
So they're not by DOD required to use a particular company?
No.
Thank you.
One of the literature that medical states that there is no physical evidence in the Kuhio Village opportunity matter. There's no physical evidence that there's ever any dream or campsites there. Is that a fact or is that just?
Our consultant that did the research, they're the ones that determined that they looked up records and based on what they found, that's what the report is based on.
Hi. I worked with Senator Danny Noy on the possibilities of various roads coming through Waikoloa. And it would seem as though that you're focused on your interest. You're interested in that bypass that'll come through Waikoloa more than you are interested in the people. That's just a point of observation.
But then they have to take it as is, or is the department allowed to question that and figure out how they really determined it?
In that engineering evaluation cost analysis, the original size of the training area that was smaller, and as Walter mentioned, that we went out to phase 2 and phase 3. Each time the Waikoloa Village area boundary grew. And that's how we ended up with the red line being such a hodgepodge shape. But when we go through and do the remedial investigation, if we find ordinance up into the red line, what we'll do is a step-up process where we'll continue to look for UXO until we won't find it anymore. But that red line is not a set line. It has a possibility to increase if we find things like a good border.
Yeah, it's awfully odd the way that it bypasses portions of land that are closer to Waimea to where UXO is found, but then it goes up and around just Kuhio Village. It's odd when it does that, and I wondered if the department had inquired how they really decided that the line should be like that.
And, really how they determined that back then, when that engineering evaluation cost analysis was done, whether it was by TMKs, the property TMKs, or roads, there were just at some certain point, they had to say, okay, this is where the boundaries are going to be.
Is there any way to challenge that?
We need to take the property out of the flood property. It's good.
Just when you look at the map, it's just awfully odd that, there's other parts of Waimea that aren't included, but all of the Hawaiian homes are included, which then has all these other problems of people not being able to use funding,
Yeah.
habitat, or whoever,
And I think, just in the research that the department has found on, Pu'ukapu was Parker lands that were leased out to the military through the war. And so I think that's how Pu'ukapu and Kuhio Village were included in the floods area property. In my mind, is because there's a record that it was leased out to the military.
And they've shown that to you for sure, that those parcels were for sure included in that.
Yes, and the parcels came into the department's inventory and you know what it is.
Station that came out of the camp, around the foundation there, was that there's no physical evidence of any military training, living quarters in this Kuhio Village area, etc., up above Lalamilo boundary. And now we're saying otherwise. The issue is whether that we're actually
On the other area, yeah.
not only because we want to add a check, which I think is very good. The other part is on the financial, we got to find people who come in to check the land, then we're at odds. Who's going to pay for it? How are we going to do it? That's the issue that I think we're trying to address.
Right, and so I think because we have the model in Lalamilo construction, the construction of Lalamilo phase 2A, where we utilize the appropriate construction support because we knew that the land had UXO. That's part of our department's model going forward in terms of if should this happen again, to utilize lands that were formerly used by the military. But I want to introduce our engineer. Jeff has come tonight to do an update on the Pu'ukapu water system. Last month we talked about the temporary work stoppage on Pu'ukapu's water system until we could identify the needed construction support and the costs associated with that. So I'll let Jeff provide this update.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Fujimoto, project manager for the Pu'ukapu hybrid water system. So from the last meeting, we did have to put the installation of the meters and backflow preventers on hold due to the UXO concerns. But from that last meeting, we did talk with our contractor, and we got a proposal for an environmental consultant to do the sweeping, to at least so that they can restart the installation of the meters and backflow preventers. So we had 12 installed, and then I did hear that some others were interested in getting their meters and backflow preventers installed. So right now we're just trying to address all the details of it, and then look to possibly restarting the installations as soon as possible. Is there any questions? Yes.
So are you saying you're gonna have them check by the applicants, by applications to install?
Yes, yes. And right now we're looking, at least this first, the proposal that we received is to sweep the areas where the meters and backflow preventers are going to be installed. And then we may look further into maybe possibly sweeping more into the lots, yeah. If needed.
You're talking about the ranch lines, or you're talking about the farmland?
This is the Pu'ukapu ag lots, the pastoral lots.
And
So it's the 184 lots.
It seems that when we need to get something done, right, we have to wait for the sweep, we have to wait for the money, and then while the men still working on the sides of the road, sweeping, and we have nothing on this side. I mean, come on. These people are being very generous with you, because they're not tearing at you, because just be pissed off. Because I've been here 35 years and had the same crap going on. All you do, push the shed from one pile to another pile to another pile, this thing never gonna get resolved. We need results now. Don't give me this stuff about, federal monies and all this stuff. I used to work for the federal. I see the shed move back, front, up and down. It's the same thing. I mean, you can say, oh, man, we got to do this environmental study and use all this bullshit words. It's only bullshit.
Well,
And you first wait for, like the Indians, you wait for the white buffalo, so you shoot out white buffalo, then what the hell we got? Because when Hawaiian had started this place, and you're on the side of the road, it doesn't give me very much confidence watching clowns out there sweeping the roads and for goats on the side of the road. I see when I was working up there, I saw the freeway, and they were sweeping the freeway.
Yes.
Because I saw the CPA, and I saw this stuff going on. But over here, we don't get no service. There's no people out there.
Yeah.
And they did better sweeping there than they did over here. I mean, all this, like I told I said, all this stuff is a bunch of shabbat, man. I mean, you folks come over here and just do the formalities, but you folks end up doing the same thing you folks want to do. It's not for arts, it's not for human beings. Goats get better priority than we got.
I agree.
I don't know if that's what I'm hearing, maybe you can clarify that the Department of Hawaiian Homes is not waiting for Army Corps of Engineers to sweep our land, but you guys are looking at sweeping it yourselves?
Yes.
And then,
So the chairman.
whatever happens,
Besides
pay them
working,
the bill
right, so
later.
besides working the, multi-pronged approach, working with the congressional delegation, trying to get this plus off money or whatever so that the Army Corps can, do the process. The chairman is also, looking to go to the ledge to see if she can get an emergency appropriation, to assist with getting our homesteads at least scanned. So the thing for me in reading the reports, the feasibility study that author folks was talking about, besides, disagreeing with the low-risk designation, it was the method that was used by the consultant at that time, yeah? So only the pastoral lots were transected, which means it was like a random pattern that didn't necessarily go by the areas where people were residing. It excluded Kuhio Village totally. And then, based off of that analysis, they said, oh, we never find nothing. It's gonna, it's part of that low-risk designation. So for us, from what I've learned in this last couple months, researching this issue, doing it by grid is much more thorough and much more safe, especially when families are involved. And the uncle in the back talked about, would you raise your family there? And when I first talked to the chair, Masagatani, about this issue, that was both of our concerns, yeah? Because why would our own people be treated so, what I feel, poorly and not honored or respected enough to have their areas looked at? And then, other areas were chosen as a higher priority. What makes our families not worth the same thing as where they are for, looking at the goals. And so that's been our perspective as a department now. That's the chairman's perspective now. And so we're just trying to attack the issue from all angles and utilize our whatever approach we can to get the fastest result. Because for us, it's safety and health and safety of our lessees remain a priority.
Your priority, you're not planning on hiring Army Corps of Engineers and the companies they hire who don't even put us as a priority. I hope you're not finding money so you can pay them who will do stuff that they should have done 30 years ago.
I think the Army Corps gets their funding from Congress, yeah. So if in the plus up, they find monies to do what they did, because under the process, they're tasked with doing it for the military, then that's their money. They're supposed to do what they're supposed to do according to the federal law.
So you're not just finding money for them.
The plus up thing is their money, so if we can support that with the congressional delegation, that's what we're doing. Or where we can find additional monies, because we kind of evaluated the total, if we just wanted to do Kuhio Village and the Pu'ukapu ag lots and the pastoral lots, just where people reside, it's about $5,000 to $7,000 an acre. So for under $7 million, we could have at least the scan done so that we could evaluate and have our own kind of assessment, I guess.
Can you explain how 1 acre would cost $5,000 to $6,000?
$5,000 to $7,000 to scan.
How do we do that?
We're all working with our UXO consultant and trying to figure out what the going rate was for the equipment.
You went to environment here. I'm sure we had some people from the homestead that is employed there. Is there a possibility to use them to assess our property?
Yes, we discussed that.
And what's the answer?
That like a preference if we employed a company like Environment, because we hired the UXO consultant to work on the policy. When we find monies to hire a consultant to do the actual scan, yeah, if this plus up doesn't work, or like I said, doing the multi-pronged approach. Yes, I was told by Environment we have workers who come from the homestead
You may find out that there's some volunteers, and it doesn't
Same
I don't
total.
big signs, inspection,
From what I saw today, it was quite interesting. There seems to be a methodology to it, and a certain skill set, and certain hours, numbering from years of hours and years of training to move to the different technician
I
levels.
did not take a group of people from the exam, who might volunteer and train them to do this process.
I don't know if you could be trained fast enough, because the people that have been working with the environment have been working with the environment for some time now. And they have like a large group of tech
I
ones.
remember when Mayor Pinoy came in and said there were 25 local people that were actually being trained to do this process. Have all of them been hired by someone that Do we know that? Or we use some of them to assist with this? I'm just open and.
In talking with environment, I know they said that their workforce is local to here. And so the people who are on the side of the road scanning are local people from here. And whether that's, I know some of it includes our Desi families and some of it people from this surrounding area. At the same time, I know for like the higher level skill sets and technicians, like Gary, Walver, you know, they have for that higher skill set, former military.
Excuse me. Perhaps Barry could explain to us, just to understand why we get to that price per acre. Someone that 300 acres is very costly operation. Maybe you can break it down for us, we can understand.
Right, so you're talking about, you know, in the department's mind to calculate the $7 billion figure, because we needed a figure to go forward with, you know, in our ask, right, for emergency appropriation. In our discussion to get to that price point, the scan for, like, say, a pastoral lot wouldn't be for the entire lot, would be just for the sort of residential area around it, yeah. Just for the money part.
So just the house itself, just the area surrounding the home, if the area is kept is nothing, it might be 5 acres. You would not expect all 5 acres?
If we have the money to, we will. If we don't have the money to, we won't prioritize for the health and safety of the people.
Talking dollars. You know, Department of Waimea is appropriating 30 million.
That's for this land, yeah, the settlement.
Is that accessible for something like this?
The settlement monies could be, the trust monies could be utilized to fund projects.
How do you get that to should be part of it?
It's just the department doing the priorities in the budget. The department has authority.
Excuse me. Yes. Okay, just say, I live in Pu'ukapu on 100-acre ranch, 15 acres. Just say they found something in there. They found whatever they got. Now, these guys come in and they say, hey, you know what? It's contaminated. You cannot go there. That's your property. It's contaminated. What is your process? Say, for instance, because this is what I've heard, that people are going to be displaced if they find anything on the property. Are they going to be misplaced, displaced, or relocated? Say, for instance, that one property, you found something, the land is contaminated. Do you find me or Department of Hawai'i give me the same acreage that I have someplace else?
No, so we'll talk about the update right now about relocation. The department, of course, has looked through its inventory, its land inventory, and of course, all of you who have pastoral lots know how scarce pastoral lots are. And so if you have a pastoral lot and wanted to trade 40 acres of pastoral for 40 other acres of pastoral.
But the conclusion is, in your map, everything is all dotted. So I wouldn't have another place to go, because you folks will find some more bombs. So that leaves me out from being on Hawaiian Homestead BC. That's what I'm saying. You know, this is scary. This is really, really scary. I see eviction coming. I see people misplaced, relocated because they found a bomb or whatever under the ground that was not there. My thing is, I'm going to say this, okay? I live in Pu'ukapu, right next to Milano. Willocks had that construction. They bulldozed, they did everything to that, our place. What I have underneath the ground is not a bomb. I get bars, I get cement, I get all the opala in my yard in the corner. I have no bombs. If they did find a bomb, Willocks people would have been all dead today. They would have been all exploded to bits. buying more lands. So I don't understand what is really going on. Like that man said, he left. There's a lot of controversy going on, and I see this whole balance bill is money. Money. You guys talking money. When is it going to end? We don't even have money to build a house. She's waiting for money to build her house. And you guys getting all this money from congressional, from Illinois cabinet members or something, I don't know. Give us the money, let's build our house. We'll find the balance.
On the note of building houses, is it true, from what I'm hearing, that they pretty much all that is on hold because there's no property to find out the next going on?
Are you talking specifically about a particular pastoral?
Like my plans to build a house is that on hold. I was told it was on hold and it didn't.
You know, we are developing the UXO policy, which will provide guidelines not only to the department, when it does its own construction work, but to lessees, so that you would be able to utilize the appropriate health and safety measures when you're doing construction.
Okay, so if I have a lot that I know is already swept by the environment, are we giving it all clear? Well, not all clear. Can I build?
I think that'll be addressed, I'm sure, in the policy. Because for the department, we just want to make sure that we provide enough information to the lessee to make an important health and safety decision, right? Whether you're going to utilize construction support at $5,000 an acre when you're doing your bill or not.
So there might be a possibility of, let's say, we're very low risk. Is there something that can come out that says, I understand my lot is low risk, sign paper, whatever happens to me is my problem?
We have discussed that too, and part of the discussion then is whether you're endangering your neighbors because you decide not to utilize construction support and something goes wrong, and not knowing the fragmentation range for what type of munition it could be that explodes. So I think that's a discussion about, that's the kind of discussions we're having, talking about creating this UXO policy.
In this UXO policy, the areas that have been swept, we would go back in and re-sweep and waste the $5,000 or $7,000 that some other property we need for the first time.
I would go and look at who the contractor was and what was done,
Okay, so it's just action, yeah.
whether it was grid or not.
Do we have a time frame for the policy?
Yes, I should be back in Waimea to talk about it, and in Maku'u, hopefully with a first draft towards the middle or end of February.
Okay, so all my plans should be on hold till then?
No, I mean, if you're interested in utilizing construction support, the department will provide you guidance so that you can include that.
Okay, so let's break it down to a 10 by 10 square to sweep around my water meter so I can get my water hooked up. Telephone went in, water line went in. Nothing happened. My water meter sits right on the same as the water line. Is it still formality? Yes, it's covered. Sweep it.
Where that was, or where your house is? No, I mean, where, you're asking if that's, the sweep is going to be where the ground was disturbed already, or whether by where you live, where it wasn't scanned?
Well, I dug for the house, dug for the fence.
You know, it's not, I just want to, you know, you make the
10
decision.
square.
You make the decision because you live on that lot, yeah. I mean, I live in Waikoloa, and I stay up at night thinking, oh my gosh, I hope nobody gets hurt. So if you don't feel like anybody will get hurt, then, I mean, that's your lot, and we're right now, I'm telling you to exercise precaution when doing ground disposal activities.
Yeah, just wondering how my water meter can get hooked up.
Oh, well, Jeff was updating us on the water meter that it's going to be coming because we didn't use construction support like we did in Lalamilo Phase 2A, and we should have in the Pu'ukapu water system. So now we're finishing the rest of the system and utilizing the appropriate health and safety to mitigate against.
And it's above ground too. It doesn't get dug underground.
The backflow.
The backflow goes over ground.
And it's going to be on the exterior on our exhaust because that's where the connection to the water ends as far as the compartment.
Yeah, because it's not potable. The water system is not potable. No, it's pastoral ag.
Oh, it's just for animals. So what are the backflow preventers?
That's just in case you keep, there's still that chance that, say, once the water goes in and a homeowner connects up, and say maybe add something to the water, maybe to, for irrigation purposes.
You just get homeowner.
Yeah, yes, correct.
There's a homeowner on the property that will be utilizing not potable water.
Yes, yes.
You were just saying for ag.
For ag irrigation,
Yes.
not for the house.
And not for human consumption.
So when does the homeowner get potable water?
We do have a spigot at the beginning of the system. See, when we came out here, we actually had to do a survey to see if we're going to provide potable water, it would have been extremely costly, and we had to get licenses and all of this. So we actually asked the community to propose potable versus non-potable. And then with the potable system too, it was higher costs to the users. So we took all of that into consideration of these comparison charts. So the outcome was that the community needs water as soon as possible. Yeah.
So how we supposed to be treated? Why would we treat it that way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we just say,
No, but
this is.
yes, but we went out to the lessees to ask them, what they were looking for, and, paying higher costs and getting a potable water system for, less monthly costs, and we get a non-potable water system. And so the outcome was to provide a non-potable water system.
You're talking about installed backflow preventer from non-potable.
Because there's still that possibility that the water could come back into the system and
It's a what? Non-potable water.
yeah, it could make it worse.
What do you mean? I don't understand. It's not potable.
It's not possible.
You know what I mean?
You wouldn't want
Oh.
to make it serious contamination.
It's not human consumption. You know, that's a big waste of money.
I wanted a confirmation on what you said. You're getting engineering help to do the bid on, be able to monitor just the installation of the meter, which is the meter boxes there already, above ground, and the installation of right next to it. That's all just to be able to install those things in that small little area.
Okay, so in Kuhio Village, like my grandmother's house was built in 1952, all the old houses. Okay, we did not have septic tanks, we had cesspools, and there was 2 cesspools that was done. We didn't do rock, so basically we didn't find anything on our property. So, why are we in this area?
I think, if you would have
blew up, it's a blue rock.
if we could scan it and be 100% sure, I think that would be the ideal outcome. Yeah, so everyone would rest worried, someone,
We got the letter, they said they can be in.
what
Right, Puna.
Yeah.
then the other letter came, there will be a big, the eggs get found.
Yeah.
I don't know what. No, we were offering voluntary relocation if people were fearful to live on their property. That's what we got that are offered.
If they didn't get the Pu'ukapu, would it be have it exploded though? Because we had to dig 2 sentence at that time.
But you saw how small the munitions is, yeah? So, yeah, I just want to,
And my grandfather was a quarter engineer.
yeah, my dad. I mean, I don't know what to say other than, you know, I want to advocate for the health and safety of our lessees and our beneficiaries. I'm committed to trying to find funding wherever it comes from to do this here so that families can have some degree of confidence that their lot is okay.
Yeah,
We should have like for wherever the most live or wherever we get good. We come first. We're the we're people. We're human beings. Like
Yeah.
somebody
Well,
asked,
it's not done. I can stay here until
that's your,
it's not done.
if you would live on the land.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're not involved to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
He didn't give us the answer, so that's telling us something.
Okay. I'll call you on
Some
Monday.
people got that letter,
Okay,
and
then.
a lot of people didn't get the letter, and I'm wondering, how was that true?
The letters were all mailed to the address that the department has on record. So thank you for reminding me. I did bring the address list. So after the meeting, you know, if you didn't get a letter yet, because there was one sent December 3rd and there was one sent 2 weeks ago, please come see me because I want to make sure that the address that we have on file is correct. However, because we downloaded that straight from the DHL ATEX system, if you haven't updated your address, you have to go see Mr. Jim Dupont and fill out that address form because even though I did get letters that came back and I forwarded them, you know, myself, the department doesn't change an address in the system unless the lessee themselves fill out that form.
I just wanted to get back to the 3 R's.
Okay.
Anything is found, come in and you have to bring up.
Call 911, the police will secure the area and then they'll make contact with the team that will come.
That's right.
Yes.
So this, what I might call a scare tactic, you know, we need to find something, and if you're gonna eventually scan everything, fine. But we need to remember the 3 R's with the thing.
Thank you, Auntie.
Yes. Clear your rock, dug the cesspool, put in the electrical line and the water line. And the water.
This we have the bottom of your case.
Would there were the possibilities that if the lot is already cleared, it could be checked on? I mean, you wouldn't have to walk through the bushes and what have you.
Ready. Open and ready, right? You could include that in the construction cost. That's what we're trying to figure out for the SE, the loan.
You mean it's gonna be the beneficiary's cost to have it sweet?
No, we're looking to have money to do it. But if someone, if she wants to build before the money comes, that's an option. I'm not gonna say no. Yeah.
How people should be here from this one?
Well, let us go argue with our point first. I have 30 days to make the point. I gave you the letter last week. So part of my trip coming here, besides this community meeting, was to meet with the UXO consultant and to get a first-hand look at what they do and you know, what we think for the department, what we want the best for our lessees. So that's how I learned about the grid versus the transect. And then if that doesn't work and it still continues to hold their line the way that they want, then the next time I come with the UXO policy, hopefully the second draft, then I'll share the address information. You guys can all write letters to us. But wait, let me try and work out the details first. red beans, the palm trees, the whole area is the river area.
And the Kuhio Village and restaurant right there, and not being worked on yet.
There was cost, engineering cost analysis.
We did some work on it.
But it was real transit and just the big, that's what a lot of stuff was about. No, they did it by transect, and they said that was the way that they calculate a meandering path, and then they just take the thing and go that way, so it swept through all the bottom parts of Pu'ukapu, like the lots that way. They did it through the grid method, which would be more comprehensive and scan a larger area.
But that position is almost the same on the beach. I don't get no idea now. I go up there every day for the last 30 years. I fool around, all around there. So, and right now, the area that is white is getting very active, and it hasn't been cleared. Hawai'i is doing a lot of grading in areas that hasn't been cleared. Now we know, and we'll get a little education about possibilities and probabilities. Now we get something else to worry about. Because we actively integrating them, we're doing high activity. So does that bring some concerns? Sure. And then everyone farmers, we have this facility, chance to go out there and walk around and something, and the majority of the farmers get going. So there's a lot of activity on lands that hasn't been active at all, except by
But that's why, the safety briefing that Walter did about the 3 R's, so that if you come across something, that's exercising precaution. Yeah, so if you're doing your greenhouse, doing your farming that you've been doing for 30 years, you exercise precaution, and if you see something that looks remotely suspicious, you call 911 and you report it.
Sad part here is that the war was between 41 and 45, and a lot of people have experienced what had family members. Those were the first people from our homestead, my understanding, was between 54 and 52 and 54. So that period from 45 to 50 should have been, all of this should have been done.
Well, like they said, in 46 and 52, the military did come and do a cleanup. However, technology has advanced that, what was done in 52, I don't know if they had the metal detector thing back then, so it probably was just walking. Now the technology has changed. The scanner can go so in 1 meter deep. So that's how it finds the stuff that's buried.
Sorry, this thing is bothering me. Let's talk about the boundary lines. The red line in Hawaiian homes runs right down Kanehoa Road. Everything below it is Hawaiian homes, everything above is private. Right? So you was mentioning that as you process and you guys find something and you brought it in your place. I don't see no blue dots that you brought in your place or whatever.
We didn't go in it.
So you never went in there. But how is it that that line is right down Kanehoa Road that separates private and Hawaiian home lands? If you never went there, never found anything, right? So you said that in phase 2 you started broadening it. How is it that on a broadening it, just so happened to cover only homestead lands and not private lands?
We could have found evidence that something was shot there, but it's not an actual UXO item. It would be fragmentation that shows that the bomb blew out, a smaller piece of fragmentation that's found on the side, but it's not one of the blue dots. It's one of the scrap, the 200 some odd thousand pounds that you guys have used so far.
And it just happened to right down Kanehoa Road.
At that time,
Kanehoa Road is a Hawaiian home road that separates the private land from the homestead land. It's kind of funny,
Looking at
you
it.
know? It sounds like you just should say, well, let's just put all Hawaiian homelands in there.
Yeah.
They got no private lands in it. I mean, like we talked about, it's talking about the boundary line. It goes right around Kuhio Village. But along the boundaries of Kuhio Village is residents too, but it's not in their area. It's only in the homestead. Because behind, in front of Kuhio is residents. On the side of Kuhio is residents. Right? But our line just goes around Kuhio homestead. Not all the residents in the backyards of those residents. And then right down Kuhio Road is only one home below. You know, all the private property was kept out of this thing. Is there some rhyme or reason why all private property was kept out?
When we get to the area, it may be included in it as well. That's just where the red line is right now, the boundary. That's where we think the boundary is.
I mean, so you guys don't know, you guys just need to make a red line somewhere. So you just said, it's just take Kuhio Road and just write them out down there, because that's a good straight boundary line.
No, I think they did a little bit more than that. They based it upon what they found in the studies. And they came up with their reason for what they came up with the shape of that.
And that's the consultant.
Correct.
That's the consultant that came up with. So the consultant may have just said, hey, this is a nice road, and we're just gonna run this red line right down the road. All homestead is in it, and all non-homestead is not. The consultant probably did that. Not you guys, but a consultant probably.
Through us.
Through you guys.
And then that's when we come to the community, we let the community know, this is where the boundaries of the first property is going to be. We have to put it out for public comment, make sure we get everybody's feedback.
Boundaries changed at all since the initial?
Since the initial, it has changed, but since 2000
Last year, last engineering evaluation cost analysis, that's when the plan was set for a could possibly change again.
I think it would be interesting to know on the farm and Hawaiian home side, to find out why that line runs down right in the middle on our road and only on homestead.
Okay.
Because if there was no more blue dots, so if there was some ordinance or some kind of scraps or something like that, find the justification of that line running right down the middle of our road and putting us into and all the private property out of it. You know, find the justification that this particular consultant decided to go with that route, because it looks a little fishy.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think the consultants out
So just, yes, for the UXO process.
there. You're a consultant.
So we do that step first.
Other side of Waimea town, it'd be a little bit concerning, a little bit upset as well, because their valuable properties were concerning. Are you only bringing it to us because we're the ones that are working the land and have to drop? Or is it not a concern for the private?
We have gone to the Waimea Community Association meetings as well as the Waikoloa Community Association meetings and give updates every year or so.
So this is the first time that the department, when we found out about the UXO issue, the chairman issued the letter at the beginning of December, we scheduled the meeting in the middle of December, and this is the first time that the department has offered, to have a fire report come out to talk about the former Waikoloa area. So while they've been active in the peaceable, regular other Waimea community, we felt it was important for our lessees to have their own meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Going back to your question about how come we've been working in area down by the Department of Land and Natural Resources, when we get the roads like that, we have a scoring system. It goes from 1 to 8. 1 is the highest with chemical conditions, and 8 is the lowest. So we gotta follow this spreadsheet that it takes into consideration the type of ground that's found, what the density of the population is, are there homes or schools nearby? It's a pretty extensive list that we fill out, and at the end of the list, I think we'll shoot off a score, 1 to 8, and it'll tell us what the score is for the area. So we get 2 is the highest we get over here in Waikoloa, because 1 is going to have chemical munitions, we don't have chemical munitions. 2 is the highest, and those areas that we're working on now are either 2s or 3s. For Pu'ukapu, it's a 5.
So the higher the number, the lower the risk.
So,
if it was an 8, it would be what? Given the number system, has that funding, what is the number gotta be in order for us to fund?
That's the point, Todd is saying that the very designation itself is contaminated land.
So it doesn't matter what number.
Right.
It can be on 8 and it's still.
Right, so we're trying to get HUD to accept, like what we did in phase 2A.
So it doesn't matter what the code is. Because it's in the designated land. So another time that the Department of Hawaiian Homes screwed our Hawaiian people by leasing our lands out to the military and poisoning our lands, and now we're stuck in this situation.
Well, no, I think it was Parker.
At that time it was run by the federal government.
Yeah.
Parker Ranch was rented by the Department of Home, run by the federal government.
Why was that?
Back around 2008, we have a restoration advisory board that we put together so that we can get feedback from the community. And at that time, somebody from the Department of Hawaiian Homeland said, there's a lot of bombs on the property that's in there. And at that time, that's why we did a small project in that area, but we didn't find anything
Yeah,
there.
and then there's an exception in the military law. The exception is the
Right. So that might have been somebody's residence or driveway, where we couldn't investigate any anomalies that are there.
So that means it wasn't clear.
Well, under the exception, because if we use the metal detector over a driveway, we cannot do it over the house now, and we wouldn't be able to dig up underneath there.
So I know it's been a long work day for you folks, and we're going to stay here after the meeting to answer questions, but I wanted to give the opportunity for people who wanted to go home or didn't mind staying later with us to talk more about this issue. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment on your policy that the beneficiaries are going to be protected. They will have, whoever goes on that land, I would ask for an additionally insured certificate. There's a problem on their end with that, but in that policy, we will have, the beneficiaries will have no responsibility if anything happens to that contract that's on our lease land. The department always asks for liability insurance, all the contracts, but it only covers DHHL's butt. It does not cover us. And in this instance, in any other instance really, when the department contracts with somebody to enter the already leased land, we are protected.
Thank you for that point, Auntie. Okay, so if we can gather around and we'll do a closing pulling, and then for those of you who still have more questions and would like to talk about a specific situation right now, mailings will go out next month when we have our draft of the UXO policy. We'll try to do it probably around the same time.
Thank you.